everybody, it's Miss Jaimie from the Hampton Bays Public Library, and today's program is magic carpets. So all you're going to need is a few simple things you probably have at home. The main thing you're going to need is a cardboard box. So I have some breakfast biscuits and macaroni and cheese and a light bulb box. Anything that is the thinner plastic that's not going to be super hard to cut. And what you're going to do is break apart the box and just use one of the big sides. So usually the front or the back. So it needs to be this bigger side and not the skinnier side. Then, once you choose that, you're going to need to choose what you want to do with your magic carpet. So all magic carpets look different. I have already made one like this, and then I'm going to show you two other ones, and they all have different materials. So you can choose whatever you want. If you want to make all of them or make your own one that I haven't shown you, you can do that. But this one, all I used was magic marker. I colored in the sides with pink and I colored in the middle with purple, and then I used a glue stick to paste it down, some construction paper. And this is a great thing. We're already recycling with our boxes. You can also recycle our leftover construction paper from other crafts. So if you wanted to just do a straight line like I did, although it's a little bit wonky, you can do that. Or you can use the really cool outlines of whatever you've cut before on a paper. But you can do whatever you want. And then you're going to need a hole puncher, where we're going to punch out holes. And as you can see, we have a fringe for our carpet, and I used ribbon that I thought would go really well with the colors I chose for my carpet. So that's one way. Another way I'm going to show you is paint. So I have a few different acrylic colored paints, and I'm just going to paint those onto my carpet. I'll show you in a moment. Of course, I have paint brushes to go with that. And then I have, again, some ribbon that I can use for a fringe for my carpet. Another thing I think I'm going to do is use some glitter glue. So that'll be really cool. Then I'm also going to make another carpet that I am probably going to use some tissue paper. So if you have tissue paper lying around, I have these strips, but if you have the squares, it might take a little bit longer. And I'm just going to use some strips of different colored tissue paper all along my carpet. For that one, I'm going to need some white glue to glue down the tissue paper. And then all of these, again, we'll use a hole puncher and some ribbon. So if you have ribbon, or if you have twine or yarn, all of those would be great ideas for your carpet fringe. So this one, I'll show you again was just paper and marker. Of course, I had some glue in there. And now let's get started on how to make one. So you're going to pick out your box that you want, and as I said, you're going to need to cut out either the back or the front of a box, and you're going to cut off all of the sides. So this one I've already cut off one of the pieces, and you're going to need probably the big scissors, so you might need an adult for this, but the little scissors might also work. It'll just be a little bit harder. So I'm going to cut off my sides, and we will recycle those pieces at another time. And there you go, you have a nice flat rectangle. So for this one, I'm going to do the tissue paper, and I think the best way to do it, especially if you're doing something that needs to dry, is to punch your holes first. You might not be able to wrap on your twine until it dries, but it will look wonderful. So I'm just going to take my hole puncher and you slide your cardboard in the slot, and then you're going to measure it so that it's not on the edge. If it's on the edge, your hole is going to not be a hole. It's not going to be a circle. It's going to be half a circle, and nothing will be able to stick inside of it. So you want it to go a little bit off the edge. You'll be able to see the little puncher bit on your hole puncher. And it's okay if you need an adult for help, because it can be a little bit tough, especially with cardboard. And I just took that hole. You'll see it better on this side. You can see it right at the top there. And I'm just going to make a few more holes evenly down the side of my cardboard. So I think I'm going to make about 4 or 5 holes. And then you want them to be even on both sides. So you can kind of line them up as best you can. We might not be perfect, but that's okay. Mine got a little bit wonky, so my bottom here is a little bit shorter than my top, but that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is that I have my pre-cut strips already. If you have a big sheet of tissue paper, you're going to have to cut along. You might have little squares. Those will work, but as I said, they might get just a little bit, just a little bit more time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a small line, a small squiggle. You might not even be able to see it because it's white on white. And I'm going to do 2 of them with a little bit of space in between. And I'm going to try my best to crumple up my tissue paper, and I'm just going to lay it right on there. Now you need to play around with it. I did the 2 lines because I'm going to fold over my piece into the second line, but if you have some hanging off, you could just cut that off if you think that it doesn't look good. And I just tap it all down, and there's my first row. So I'm going to take another bit, and you might want it to overlap a little bit. So you just play around with what you have. Oh, that's a little bit too skinny. And my pieces are different sizes, so they're not going to completely line up. And I just kind of play it. So like that piece right there, this blue piece is a little bit shorter than my green piece. So I'm just gonna rip another one. And now we have a full row of blue. And then we have this leftover blue. Right? I'm just gonna keep going down the line with the colors that I want. So if you want to plan ahead, you can make a pattern of any type. The more you crinkle it, the more 3D it'll look. You can even layer some of the pieces on top. And that looks really cool. It almost looks kind of like a shag carpet. They're really fuzzy. Kind of like this color. And I'm just, again, doing the line of glue. just kind of crumpling my tissue paper and fitting what I think. The thing about the glue, before it dries, you can also crinkle that while it's on there. And I think I'm going to finish it off with the same dark green. So it's not quite symmetrical. I'm just going to take a piece. And if you have some background color, as I said with this other one, I colored in the background, so you could do that too. If you wanted to color, if you think you're not going to cover every bit. So that is our tissue paper one. You might want to let it dry, but I left space. So I'm going to use my scissors and cut some ribbon. I think I'm going to use this gold color. I have a little skinny piece. And I'm just going to eyeball it. It doesn't have to be an exact measurement. Remember, when you tie it, it's going to be a little bit shorter. So I just kind of guess what I want, and I cut off another piece, and I hold up my first piece to the roll of ribbon, and I just kind of hold it at the very top, hold it with my fingers, and then I can measure. That piece goes all the way down there. I flatten it out, and then I hold it again at the bottom, and then I can take my scissors, and now I have two identical pieces. And I'm just gonna thread it through my hole here, and you kind of want it halfway. And I'm going to put it down so that I can tie a knot. I'm just going to cross my two ends, and then the top one will go under the loop. And then I pull. And you might have to kind of squish it around if you want it to go in a different place, so it goes wherever you want. And then you're going to do that for all of the rest of them. So I'll do a few more. With you. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 9 ribbons that I need. So I just cut out all 9 ribbons, and I'm going to tie them down just like I did that first one. So it's going to go through the hole, and you're going to pull it so that the middle is around the punched out hole. You might need to fold your ribbon in half a little bit to get it through, depending on how thick it is. And we're just going to cross our strings. The top one folds under and through, and we pull both sides. And again, you might have to adjust. So I'm just going to keep going down my whole side here, and then I'm going to do the other side. Alright, so I just finished all of those ties for our fringe on our carpet, and now we're just going to let it dry. I think it looks really great. So let's start on the next one. I have a little bit bigger piece from an ice cream box. And again, I'm just going to take my hole puncher and space out my holes. And and try to have them evenly on both sides. So again, about 4 or 5 holes. And there you have it. So this one I'm going to be painting. So again, I have acrylic paint here in my palette, and I tried to do some nice oranges and reds and some kind of golden yellow, 2 different kinds. And I'm just going to take a paintbrush, and I think I'm going to do similar stripes like the other ones, and I'm just going to paint. You might have tempera paint, or you might have acrylic like I do, but whatever color you think will look nice, and just, you know, try to do a pattern. I think because mine are going to be so thick, it's only going to be a singular pattern. It's not going to repeat. So I just made that one stripe of red. And now I'm going to do this nice golden yellow. And if you want, you know, to make sure that your colors really don't mix, you can let each stripe dry, or you can leave space. So where that stripe is going to go, you leave space and start on the 3rd color. And you might want to do multiple coats. So you let one coat dry and then do another coat if you find that you don't like how the cardboard shows through. But I think mine looks pretty nice the way it is. I'm going to do some orange. I have another yellow. Like a mustard color. And you don't want to glob it on too much because your cardboard is a bit thin. So mine's already warping a bit. But later on, once it dries, you could flatten it out. But you don't want to glob too much of the paint because you don't want your paint to crack. But you could definitely flatten it out with like a heavy stack of books. I have a little bit of space, so I'm going to do another row of red. And I'm again just leaving the parts with the holes undecorated, but you can decorate those if you want. I did that with the markers, I decorated it. And now it looks like that. So I am going to set it off to the side. You can try to bend it a little bit while it's still drying. That seemed to flatten it out a little bit. And I'm going to use some glitter glue. So I have red and gold because I thought that would look really nice. And I'm just going to do some dots of glue right in between my colors. So if you can see, I did that right there between the orange and the yellow there. And I'm just going to do some of that. And it's not going to be perfect. I think I'm going to do some gold and do a little bit of a zigzag on the red section. Or a kind of a swirl. It might not come out exactly how you want. You can go over it a little bit. So I just have those two rows. I have the squiggly lines and some dots. And again, just let it dry. And then you'll be able to put your ribbon on. I'm going to be a little bit daring and put my ribbon on now. And I'll let it dry with the ribbon on it. But while I'm cutting, it's drying. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just kind of eyeball what I think will be a good size. This is a bit thicker of a ribbon. And then I'm just going to cut and hold up your piece that you just cut. Hold it up right to the very end of your ribbon spool. Flatten it out so that it meets up. And then you just move your hand and take your scissors and watch your fingers and cut. And now you have a second piece. So I'm just going to tie this one on to make sure that I like it. And I'm just going to tie that on. And I think I like it. And I think that looks great, so I'm just gonna cut out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side and 4 on another. So I have 8 in total, but I've already cut one and tied one, so I'm going to make 7 more ribbons. But I've already cut this one, so I'm gonna make 6 more ribbons now. I don't think you thought you were gonna get a math lesson today. So I just finished cutting my ribbons, and now I'm going to tie them all on, just like I did the other ones. Because it's thicker, it's going to have to go folded through the hole. You kind of let the middle go right where the hole is, and you're going to cross over those strings. The top piece of the ribbon will go under your loop, and you're just going to pull with both sides your 2 ribbons. And then we're going to go through the rest, and I will be right back with our finished product. Alright, so I tied on all of the things. I ended up miscounting my ribbons, so I needed one more than I said. But there it is, and I'm just going to let that dry some more. Again, like I said, if you want to be extra careful, you're going to tie your ribbons on, or your string or your yarn, whatever you've chosen, after it's all dry. So I have 3 options that I've made. That first one with the magic marker and construction paper and glue. Our white glue with tissue paper, and then our acrylic paint with glitter glue. And of course all 3 of these have ribbons, and you can make up your own. Do whatever you want. You can put fabric or felt, you can wrap it in yarn, anything will be awesome. And you can send me a picture right in the comments below of what you made and let me know how you're playing with yours. So if you have a little action figure or a little doll and you want to fly them around, send me a picture. And I hope that you had a great time, and I look forward to seeing you soon at the library, and have a great day. Bye-bye.